We had CeCe Sabathia on earlier this morning as the Yankees will open up in Tampa Bay on Friday. And joining us now, the ace of the Rays, a superstar on the Major League level and a vigorous toweler.
Yes.
Here is David Price with us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. How are you, David?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
All right, we are great.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah,
we love
do.
watching you pitch. We love everything about it, but we have to begin with this because we had a little fun with it a couple of weeks ago. You got injured toweling off too vigorously between innings. You're going to have to help us. How did this exactly happen?
I was just toweling my head off in between innings in the dugout, and I guess I threw the towel over my head, and I pulled it from the front, and then the towel just kind of grabbed the back of my head, and it yanked my head forward, and I felt a little spasm going on in my neck, and that's how that evolved.
All right, so here's the difference I had to say, David, because my life was spent in a football locker room, that if that were to happen, the first thing that we would do in a football locker room is find a set of steps to throw ourselves down, just so we didn't have to tell anybody that's how it happened. Was there ever that thought at all by saying this happened in another way?
No, I guess they kind of put it out there that I was toweling off too vigorously in the newspaper, and I heard quite a bit of stuff from all my teammates, and they put up signs everywhere in the locker room saying caution, towels can be dangerous, and I mean those were in the dugout, in the water room, coming out of the shower, they were everywhere, so I couldn't get away from it.
Oh, that is such a good story.
Well deserved, but funny. And anyway, obviously, David Price is with us here. Coming off, before we look forward, let's look back. Can you tell us what it was like in September and early October in your clubhouse? Your team, which was absolutely dead and buried at the beginning of September, put together one of the great, actually by the numbers, the greatest September comeback in baseball history to make that run and make the playoffs on that last night of the season. Can you just take us through what that experience was like?
That was a lot of fun, and it started with our leaders, and especially Joe Madden. He came into the clubhouse every day with that same attitude, and that was, we needed to win that game. We didn't look forward to, the next series. We didn't come in and say, all right, look, we have to sweep these guys this weekend. We kept it one game at a time. Our attitudes, they stayed the same the entire year. No matter if we were struggling or if we were playing really well. Joe does a great job of keeping us level-headed and focusing on that game that day.
And, you look ahead to the season and the division you're in, and every year you talk about it, the breakdown of the other big boys in the division with you guys. And so let's do that again. Give us your take about the rest of the division.
It's very tough, obviously. With New York and Boston, and Toronto is a lot better this year as well. They finished 500 last year, and then the Orioles are always tough. They always play us so well. It's a very tough division in the AL East. There's never a game that you can just look past. It's always going to be a battle. That starting pitcher's going to come out here and throw tough against us, and they're going to play good defense. So it's a lot of fun. If you can make it into the postseason coming out of the AL East, I feel like that benefits you a lot because I feel like the entire year you've essentially been playing postseason baseball.
And in years past, you had to be either first or second with a chance to get in. This year, with the additional wild card and the additional onus on the wild card of playing that one-game playoff, how differently do you think teams will handle that? How would you expect, for example, your team to handle it if you find yourself in a situation where you're going for first place in the division? How will it be different this year versus previous years in October?
I do think it will be different. Some guys can kind of coast into the wild card spot. Now, if you do that, you play a one game set to move on. So that makes it a little bit different, and it puts a lot of onus on winning the division. That's something that we want to try and do every single year. But it is very tough in this division, like I said before. But to add that extra team in the playoffs, I think is good for baseball. It gives another team, another fan base that little bit of hope. I think that's going to be good for baseball in September or August and September, and I think a lot of the fans will enjoy it.
Your thoughts on the shift in power a bit in baseball and the couple of guys you'll have to throw to now or throw against? That's Pujols and Fielder.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded if those guys stayed in the National League, but they're here to stay now. So they're both on very tough lineups. LA can do just about anything with the baseball. They can hit and run, they can straight steal, they can sacrifice bunt, they can hit for power. That lineup is extremely tough. And then you have Detroit, who 1 through 9 can put the ball out of the yard, even in their big ballpark. So it's going to be a lot of fun. These lineups are very tough, but that's what it is, pitching in the AL East and the AL.
So the first time those guys are in the batter's box against you, are we expected high and tight? Just send that message?
Not on purpose. I mean, I wouldn't find myself doing that. I'm going to go after him, see if I can't just get him out without, putting a little bit in the back of their mind. But, if they start touching it pretty well, you gotta buzz them a little bit. But at first, no, I'm going to go up there and try and pitch against him. I got to pitch against Prince last year. He did very well. He's a very tough out. He hits the ball all over the field with power, so he makes it tough.
David Price with us from the Tampa Bay Rays. I'm Mike. And Mike, final thought. You mentioned your manager, Joe Maddon. From a distance, Mike and I love him. The personality, such an unusual, sort of outside-the-box type of thinker. Tell us what it's like playing for Joe Maddon.
I mean, it's awesome. Like you said, he has a great personality. I feel like he has his own relationship with everybody in our clubhouse, and it's fun to watch him go about his business. His attitude never changes, whether we're playing well or we're playing extremely bad. He's always the same whenever he comes in that locker room. He doesn't hit that panic button, and that rubs off on our players. And it's fun to watch him go about his business with the media. He's always got a good attitude. He's fun to watch. He's fun to be around, and I love playing for him.
Well, David, we're certainly looking forward to a fun start to the season. Watch out for those towels, okay? And we always appreciate the time. We'll check in again soon. Thank you.
All right, fellas. Thank y'all for having me.
That's great. David Price, good sport. I mean, good for him for having a little fun with that.
I can't even fathom. He said it, fathom what went on in the locker room with him. I mean, what goes on? You get destroyed by your teammates for something like that.
Even I said at the time I would have thrown myself down a flight of stairs.
How do you not do that? How do you even let it come across that happened? You just ram yourself into a wall, anything.
He's a terrific guy, though, and a terrific pitcher.
He is, yeah.
And one of these guys who came up with all the attention. Like, every year there's like two guys that come up into the majors that you've been hearing about forever, that everyone is talking about. Maybe not on the level of a Steven Strasburg, but maybe a step down from that as far as attention. And Price was that guy, and he's lived up. His numbers were a little bit down last year. The year before, he could easily have won the Cy Young.
Yes, he could have. Yes.
And last year, his numbers were a little bit down, but still good. He throws it about as hard as anybody.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
In baseball, David Price on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline.